Today, I'd like to explore a concept that touches every aspect of our lives, one that is quite literally at the core of how we perceive the world and ourselves. It's the concept of conditioning, the deep rooted patterns of the mind that shape our behaviors, thoughts, and feelings, often without us even realizing it. To become aware of what we are unaware of is no simple task. It's a challenging endeavor, one that requires us to look beneath the surface of our daily actions and thought processes. But why is this so difficult? Why is it that even when we try to examine our thoughts, we often find ourselves unable to see the deeper, more subtle influences that drive us? To understand this, let's start at the very beginning. Those first few years of our lives, which are foundational in more ways than we often realize. A child exists in a state that can be linked to a hypnosis. Neuroscientists have found that the child's brain primarily operates in what are known as theta brainwave states. Theta waves are associated with deep relaxation, imagination, and highly receptive, almost trance-like state. This is why, as children, we were able to absorb vast amounts of information, whether it was language, behavior, or even social norms. You can see this play out if you ever watch a young child interacting with the environment. They mimic everything they see, the way adults speak, how they respond to emotion, even subtle gestures. It's as if they are gently and almost unconsciously manipulated into certain behaviors just by observing those around them. This state of openness is what allows them to learn so quickly, but it's also what sets the foundation for subconscious patterns that will stay with them well into adulthood. Think about it. A child doesn't learn by rationalizing or questioning the information they receive. They don't ask, is this behavior logical or is this belief true? They simply absorb it. And this is why those early years are so crucial. They shape our fundamental beliefs about the world, about ourselves, and about how we relate to others. If a child is exposed to a nurturing, loving environment, they may grow up with a subconscious belief that the world is a safe and supportive place. If one, on the other hand, they grow up in an environment of criticism, neglect, or unpredictability, those experiences can form deep-rooted beliefs of unworthiness, insecurity, or fear. These patterns form the blueprint of our subconscious mind, influencing how we act, react, and even perceive reality. The challenge is that as adults, we are often unaware of these patterns. We might not realize why we respond with anxiety in certain situations or why we struggle with self-doubt, even when there's no logical reason to feel that way. They are the echoes of early conditioning playing out long after we've left those early years behind. So what happens when we become adults? We might become aware to some extent of these patterns. We might recognize, for example, that we tend to self-sabotage when success is within reach, or that we have a habit of pushing people away when they get too close. And this awareness is the first step. But dismantling this early hypnosis is not straightforward. You see, often we find ourselves trying to break free from the conditioning of our past, but we do so using the very same patterns that were imprinted on us in the first place. It's a bit like trying to untangle a knot with hands that are themselves tied up in the knots. We are aware of the ways in which we've been conditioned, yet we struggle to step outside of those ingrained patterns because we are using the same hypnotized mind to try and free ourselves. This creates a paradoxical situation, one that can often lead to frustration, confusion, and even sense of hopelessness. And this is where the complexity of human mind reveals itself. We may be aware of being hypnotized by our past conditioning, but the real challenge is to identify the patterns and then find something that exists outside of that familiar hypnosis. We have to ask ourselves, can we truly see beyond the influences that have shaped us? Can we step out of the patterns and the routines that feel so deeply ingrained? This struggle resonates deeply with certain philosophical perspectives, especially with Hindu thought. Two concepts that come to mind are Maya and Avidya. Maya refers to the illusory nature of life, the idea that what we perceive as reality is in fact a web of perceptions, beliefs, and assumptions that obscure a deeper truth. It's a bit like being caught in a dream where everything seems real, but when you wake up you realize it was just a projection of the mind. Avidya, on the other hand, translates to ignorance or a lack of true knowledge. It is this ignorance that keeps us trapped within the illusion of Maya. We cling to certain ideas, beliefs, and identities, not realizing that they are merely construct of the mind. And so our conditioning becomes a kind of veil blinding us to the deeper reality that lies beneath. So what does it mean to seek awareness in this context? To strive for clarity beyond the layers of conditioning and illusion that cloud our perception. It means that embarking on a journey that is not just intellectual but be deeply introspective. It requires us to question our beliefs, to observe our thoughts without judgment, and to look beyond the surface of our daily routine. We might begin by asking ourselves, what are the patterns I keep repeating in my life? Where did these patterns originate? Do they truly reflect who I am, or are they simply echoes of past conditioning? By bringing these subconscious patterns into the light of awareness, we begin to loosen the grip. It's not an easy process. It requires patience, self-compassion, and above all, a willingness to see things as they truly are, rather than how we wish them to be. Awareness is not about eliminating all conditioning. After all, some of it is necessary for functioning in society. Rather, it's about gaining the freedom to see conditioning for what it is, and in doing so, gaining the power to act outside of it when needed. When we can observe our thoughts, reactions, and habits without being wholly consumed by them, we create a space in which new possibilities can emerge. A space in which we can choose to act differently, to break free from the automatic responses that have guided us for so long. In conclusion, the journey to awareness is not about reaching a state of perfect clarity where all conditioning is dissolved. Rather, it's about cultivating a sense of mindfulness, a keen observation that allows us to see the layers of conditioning and illusion for what they are. By doing so, we can begin to live more consciously, more authentically, and perhaps more freely. In the words of the great mystic, the highest form of human intelligence is to observe yourself without judgment. When we can do that, we can start to pierce through the Maya and address the Avidya within us, revealing a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Thank you for watching. Bye.